The P-51 Mustang starter set from AIRFIX is aimed squarely at the beginner, but what do you get for your money? Find out right here on Gary's Stuff. Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today, I'm looking at the 2024 P-51D Mustang in a starter set in 1/72nd scale from AIRFIX. Now, if you like the show, and I hope you do, please do remember, give it the old Imperial thumbs up in the like button below because every like counts. And if you'd like to support the channel for free, please make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell and you'll be notified of all my other videos as they're published. Other ways to support the channel are in the information box below. So let's have a look at what we get in the new P-51D Mustang starter set from AIRFIX. So the Mustang starter set, here's the box. Nice piece of box art on the front there by Uppbeat as usual. This is a slightly older design of box art. You see, these days, most of the main kits don't have this red stripe part here. They just have the stripe across there, and the whole of the artwork goes there. But I think because they want to show the shadow stand as well, they've kept the red stripe on this side, which is fine. As you can see on the front here, it says 8 years and over to make it. 1/72nd scale, North American P-51D Mustang. For some reason, that's a trademark. The product code is A55013, and it looks very nice. It looks very good. Up at the top here, this is the hanging part for display only, and it points out that the set includes the polystyrene cement, the paintbrush, and 4 acrylic paints, not these colors. The paints are on the back of the pack. On this top end here, we have a side view drawing of the aircraft we're going to make, a brief description of the P-51 itself. Something here pointing out this is 137 millimeters long, 158 millimeters span when it's completed, and 31 pieces. I think that includes the stand, so 29 for the plane and 2 for the stand. Over at this end, we have a reminder of the existence of the AIRFIX Club. Skill level 1, so anyone can make this, really. This is a very, very straightforward kit to make. And it comes to token for 1 flying hour. Now, if you are a member of the AIRFIX Club, you can collect these tokens towards a free kit in the future. However, if you're not a member of the club, or if you're in the club and you don't want to collect these, please do consider gathering up your flying hours tokens and sending them to Models for Heroes. A link to this very, very excellent charity is in the information box below. On the 2 short ends, just a part reprise of the box art and the contents of this starter set, as you can see at both ends. On the back is the scheme of the aircraft we're going to make. So where the decals go, there's very few decals on this. There's 7, 8, something like that. Very few, because they're not putting in too much detail. Enough detail to make it look good, not so much that it scares people away. Paint colors you get here are 11, which is silver, 33, which is black, 53, which is gunmetal, which you use for the exhausts, and 155, which is the olive drab for the top here. It points out that this aircraft was named Constance, as you can see it's there, and the 383rd Fighter Squadron, 364th Fighter Group, the United States Army Air Force, and I guess 8th Air Force, at RAF Hollington in Suffolk in 1945. Okay, let's have a look inside and see what we get for our money. Like most starter sets, the box opens at the end and all the bits come out like so. Now we have a polythene bag which contains the parts of the aircraft. We have another polythene bag which contains the polystyrene cement and the 4 pots of paint. We have some information sheets. There's one about general tips about how to make things, and then the instruction sheet for the aircraft itself. We have a decal sheet here. As you can see, very few decals, onto 12 decals in total. And somewhere in all this, and then somewhere in here, there we go, is our Humbrol number 2 paintbrush. Okay, let's have a look at these bits in a bit more detail. And here we have the first of the frames. This is frame A. This contains the 2 halves of the fuselage, the main cockpit and body section, the tailplane's propeller and the propeller boss that goes over the front of it, front end of the engine, and the seat and pilot. The second frame, frame B, contains the bottom parts of the wings, top half of the wings, and part of the shadow stand here. Then finally, frame C, we have the base of the shadow stand, we have fuel tanks, exhausts, gear doors, main gear and tail gear, and the radio aerial. And finally, frame D, this is the transparent frame, and on this aircraft we just have the one transparent piece, which is the windshield and canopy, all in one part. Also included in the set is a tube of Humbrol polystyrene cement and the 4 tubs of paint: silver, black, gunmetal, which is kind of like a much darker version of silver, and olive green. Also included in the set is the Humbrol number 2 brush. Now these, unlike some of the brushes you get from some manufacturers included with their kits, these brushes are actually really nice. I use these a lot anyway, so I get a starter set. I'm always quite happy because it means I've got another brush, which is fantastic. It does come with a little plastic cover, but these are really only much use when it's absolutely brand new and you can't catch any of those hairs in it. But number 2 brush is a medium-sized brush, so you can paint the whole thing, but you can actually, when it's wet, you get relatively fine point on it, so you can do small details as well. But it's quite a nice brush. If I have a close look at the plastic on the inside of the fuselage, for example, here, all the moulding is very nice, all very crisp and clean. It's the most recent version of the plastic as well. It's this sort of dark, slightly brownish dark grey colour. And just some of the detail in the inside of the cockpit is actually quite nice. Yeah, we can do something about that, possibly, depending on whether we do it out of the box or whether we use other paints and stuff like that. But you know, the details there, if you want to try and bring out that detail, you can. If you're not worried about it, because at the end of the day you're going to have a canopy over the top, you might not be able to see very much anyway, then you don't have to worry about it. That's the beauty. You don't have to do anything on here. The panel lines are relatively pronounced, but you know, I don't think it's not aimed at people who are going to do a lot of things like panel line washes and all sorts of clever weathering. It's designed for people who've never made a kit before, so these aren't going to be too bad. And also, you know, the manufacturers used to actually polish these quite a lot and try and get them absolutely flat where possible. So we're not going to pull out too much detail, even if we were making this as a proper kit, as it were. We're not going to try and bring out too much detail because it wouldn't really just see it. Just wouldn't see it. These are tail planes here. You can see they've even got little left and right on the mounting tabs, which is brilliant. There's the pilot figure. World War II hat on, you know, with a helmet with the oxygen mask dangling from it. The parachute harness is on. Nice enough little figure. Not too badly moulded, not too badly. modelled. I've seen better, but I've also seen a lot worse on AIRFIX, let's be honest. Yeah, plastic's looking very nice, actually. And the wings, again, the moulding's actually quite nice. A tiny little bit of a heat wave there, but nothing that's going to impinge on the quality of the surface. No rivet details because the rivets were essentially polished flat, so you couldn't see them when they were manufacturing the aircraft. So the panel lines, again, they're relatively pronounced, but it's a kit made for beginners. So, but even when you put a base coat of black on this and put some fancy top coats, aluminium on it, it's not going to look too bad. It's going to look okay without too much work, which is even better. But the quality of moulding, again, is lovely. I like that it's only here that you get anything impinging onto the leading edge here, because all of this part is now clear right up to the back. So the whole of that leading edge essentially is clear of injection parts. And likewise here, it's just completely clear. So it should be a lot easier to fit the two parts together, which is always a good thing. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Interesting. Quite a surprising amount of detail on the interior of the undercarriage bay, which is nice to see. The other thing you'll notice, a lot of people doing this for the first time won't notice it, but a lot of modelers have done, a lot of models will notice, is that even here, when you have got an injection line onto that front part of the wing, it actually injects, you can see, from the underneath. So you can cut that off and sand that flat, and you don't have to actually touch that edge at all. So that will keep it nice and clean. But yeah, jolly good. Very impressed, very happy. And here we have the decal sheet, the slide transfers that we're going to decorate the aircraft with. The American stars and bars, national symbols, some, I don't know what these are, divisional symbols or armies, which squadron or group or whatever. Anyway, they're important recognition symbols and aircraft here. Then that's rubbish. Here we have the decal sheet. Very straightforward, not too much to worry about, which is good because you don't need to bother people too much if this is their first kit. The national markings here, known as the stars and bars. Markings for the specific aircraft, and here the name constants that have been painted onto the side. Kill markings for the victories the pilot has scored, and there's like a technical stencil listing that what aircraft it is, who it belongs to, things like that. All the serial number data there. It's relatively basic, but the colors are good. That blue seems to be the right kind of depth of blue to me, and they all look sharp. But if we have a really close look up, we can see just how sharp they are. Okay, looking really close up, you can see these decals are actually very readable. This pencil lead here is 0.5 millimeter, so these lines are 0.2 of a millimeter, maybe a 1/10 of a millimeter high. Sorry, 2/10 of a millimeter high, 1/5 of a millimeter. And you can see the first few rows are actually very readable, which is astonishing. If we then have a look at the crispness of this writing, even at this tiny scale, the sort of changing weight of the art is very obvious. Very sharp, very clean, very happy. The instruction leaflet or manual, really, and again, it's pretty much a standard for AIRFIX, although it's slightly different because this is a starter set. It says 1/72 scale starter set, North American P-51D Mustang. Now, normally you would have this piece of information here, which is like a brief history of the Mustang, and the specifications would be in several languages down here. It's English and French, other languages are on the inside. Because they have the warnings here, just general warnings. It's really not suitable for children under 8 years old because there are some small parts. Please, if you're going to let young people do this, have adult supervision. Read this before use and follow the instructions. Now, so at the bottom here it also says surfaces to be painted should be clean. Before you remove them from the frame, wash them in warm soapy water, rinse and dry thoroughly. Now this is because in some manufacturers, when they're molding the plastic, they use a very light oil called release oil to keep the parts from sticking to the mold. If there's any hint of oil on there left, it just needs washing off. And also if you've fiddled around with them, you'll get oils from your skin on them as well. So just nice and clean before you start would be better. And here it says additional paints may sometimes be required to complete models to a higher specification. I think that's an absolute given. If you want to make it even better, then you will need other paints. But, you know, this is the whole point of these videos. You'll find out about that. And some parts in the kit may not be required to build the model specified. They put that on because sometimes when they make these kits, they make a couple of different versions on the one frame, which means they don't have to remake them when they release that other version later on. They can just release the same bits of plastic, but with different instructions and different decals and stuff like that. So that's just on. That's like a standard thing they put on. On the inside, well, there's the rest of the languages they put the history and specifications in. So you've had French and English on the front. You've got German, Spanish, and Swedish here. There are some general instructions about assembly here, which are very good. There's these little frame maps that point out where the various bits are on the frames. And then we have the instructions themselves. At the top, there's just some little markings here to sort of give you an idea, just sort of say, well, that means glue, that means optional parts. And it sort of translates the icons they use. So they don't have to do it every single place. Glue this, glue. Yeah. On these starter sets, what they very helpfully do is where you should apply glue, they highlight them in yellow, which is really cool. And they also point out where the parts are a lot more than they would normally. And so, yeah, you just follow the steps. I mean, it's not a complicated thing to build. I promise you that. The transparency fitting is brilliant. You don't need to glue these. They slot in and click into place, but we'll cover that when we make the thing. And then, of course, there is the actual, this thing called a shadow stand, which is very popular as well. So at the end, there's just a bit more information about the contents list. So polystyrene cement is not pleasant stuff if it's used badly. If it's used normally, there's absolutely no problem with it. Just don't mess around with it, is the essential advice. And there's some advice for supervising results there and some safety rules here. So all of that's in many, many languages, but the actual instructions are very, very simple. With the starter sets, AIRFIX also include this rather useful before you start thing. Now it does point out, although you get the paintbrush and paints and glue in the kit, there's some other things that will make life a lot easier if you can get hold of them. So a nail file, any old nail file, disposable emery board, whatever. A pair of tweezers, yeah, okay. Some scissors can be useful. A pair of clippers would be very good for getting things off of the frame, or a good craft knife. But if you're using a craft knife, be very, very careful. Sometimes a small hand drill is useful, not like an electric one, obviously one that you just put a drill bit into and turn. A drill vise, they tend to call it, but a tiny little manual drill can be useful. Don't think you're going to be needing that on this kit. Some tape, masking tape in particular, is very useful for holding parts together. If you're going to use tape, do get one for delicate surfaces, because if you put tape across anything that's painted, if it's not for delicate surfaces, there's a very good chance you'll lift the paint off when you come to take the tape up. And then peg. You Can use some pegs, clothes pegs or something like that to hold bits of the kit together while it dries. There are then some general instructions. Again, wash all the parts first, check out where everything is. Use clippers to take parts away from the frames. Sand, nail file, I was about to say sanding stick, which is what we call them, but nail file to clean up edges. Drill holes if you need to. I don't think you do on this. Small parts hold with tweezers. Possibly so. Again, I don't think there's that many parts that are that small on this kit. And you do have to be a bit careful that you don't hold the tweezers too tightly. Then a bit of plastic sort of pings off and then gets lost forever. So if you're going to use tweezers, be gentle with them. Test fit. We call this dry fitting. So get your part ready, then put it on the model where it's going to go and make sure there's no extra bits where you have to like sand it down maybe to get it to fit perfectly. Best piece of advice, do not use too much glue. That's really, really important. We'll come back to that as we're making it. Clip or tape the parts together while the glue sets. Very good. Paints, you are definitely going to have to mix them thoroughly. Paint small parts whilst they're still on the frame. That's quite handy. If you're going to use 2 or more coats, you probably will need more than 1 coat of paint anyway. Do allow a good couple of hours between coats. Otherwise, it starts lifting the paint back up again, acrylic water-based paint. Scissors, these are for cutting out the decals from the sheets. Hold them into warm water for about 20 seconds and then slide them into surface and pull the backing sheet away. Again, that's where the tweezers can come in useful. But these are basic techniques that you pick up as you go along, but we will cover them in the video as well. There it is. It looks pretty good at first glance. Now I've got 2 of these and I'm going to make them both soon. One is going to be straight out of the box with the paints and the glue and the brush you get supplied, and the other I'll be using all the fancy stuff I've got lying around to see what difference it makes. If you want to see either or indeed both of these videos, the best thing to do is to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell and you'll be notified of all my future content as it's published. And if you like the video, please do remember, give it the old imperial thumbs up on the like button below, because every like counts. Thanks so very much for watching today. Hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.